It was late, and I regretted taking the alley behind my apartment. It wasn't the safest route, but it shaved off 10 minutes from my walk home. The dim streetlights buzzed faintly, their flickering glow reflecting off the damp brick walls. The air was thick, almost suffocating, and a strange, low fog clung to the ground, swirling with every step I took. Halfway through, I noticed him, a man, tall and gaunt, standing perfectly still in the shadows. His hoodie was tattered, hanging loosely on his frame, and his pale skin caught the dim light like bone. His face was what froze me, the hollow eyes, sunken and lifeless, yet fixed directly on me. He wasn't moving, but it felt like he was watching every step I took. I told myself to keep walking. It was just some drifter, I thought, trying to shake off the dread crawling up my spine. But as I passed him, I heard it, a low, raspy voice, almost a whisper, cutting through the silence. "Do you hear them too?" I froze. My heart pounded in my chest, but I didn't look back. The voice was strange, almost layered, like multiple people were speaking at once, barely audible, but impossible to ignore. I picked up my pace, willing myself to reach the end of the alley. "Do you hear them too?" he repeated, louder this time, the words lingering unnaturally in the air. I broke into a sprint. My footsteps echoed against the walls as the alley seemed to stretch longer than usual, like the exit was moving further away, and then I heard it, a soft, almost rhythmic sound, like footsteps behind me. I dared to glance back, and he was there, standing in the same spot, but his head was tilted now, and I swear he was smiling. The footsteps weren't his, though. They were coming from somewhere in the fog, growing louder, closer. I burst out of the alley onto the main street, gasping for air. The streetlights here felt harsh, almost blinding, but I didn't care. I was safe, or so I thought. The rest of the walk home was a blur. I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see him or hear that voice again. By the time I reached my door, I was trembling. I locked the door behind me, every bolt and chain, and collapsed onto the couch, trying to steady my breathing. That's when I heard it, a knock. Slow, deliberate. I froze. My apartment was on the 3rd floor. No one should have been able to reach my door without me hearing them come up. The knock came again, louder this time. I grabbed my phone, fumbling to call the police, but before I could dial, his voice came from the other side of the door. "Do you hear them too?" I didn't move. I didn't speak. I barely breathed. The knocking stopped, replaced by a soft scratching sound, like nails dragging along the wood. Then, silence. I stayed awake the entire night, clutching a kitchen knife and jumping at every noise. When dawn finally broke, I opened the door cautiously, but there was nothing there. No footprints, no marks, just the faint scent of damp earth lingering in the hallway. I tried to convince myself it was a bad dream, that I'd imagined the whole thing. But last night, I heard it again. 3 slow knocks, and that same voice whispering through the door. "Do you hear them too?"